Hey everyone, it's Trey with the Trey Brews channel. We are doing an Oak Aged IPA by Brew again. This is what I have here. It's like a burlap sack, I think that's what this is called. This looks a little different than the last one because this is going to come with, this bag right here, it came in one of their starter kits, so they designed it a little differently. But anyway, again, this is the Oak Aged IPA. It's gonna be really interesting. So, here we go to start with. Actually, this is, oh, never mind. Okay, so to start with, as always, we've got our grains. And, did I miss it? Oh, maybe I'm sure it came with it, but I don't have it here. I'll need to go get it. But it would come with the sack to hold the grains. And then we've got 1.5 pounds of the Pilsen Light Malt Extract. And this is the first time I've had a kit, 4th brew, I think, and first time I've had 3 hop packages. Let me face them the other way. So yes, 3 hop packages. We've got, where would we be here? Here we go. Start with some Cascade for bittering. You add that at the start of the 60-minute boil. Willamette hops for late bittering, and those are added 30 minutes left in the boil. Some Goldings hops. These are for aroma, and those are added with 2 minutes left in the boil. And then what's really neat with this one is almost none of their kits come with special instructions like these. But this is, because it's an Oak Aged IPA, it comes with toasted oak chips. And we'll read this later, but I think you add these like a week into fermentation or something like that. Once they're in the gallon jug and everything, you add these oak chips, and it gives it some oaky flavor. So that's what all came in this kit here. I got the water going. I'm actually going to show a clip right after this showing me start that to go in order like I do. But I wanted to go ahead and get started. This is a little late, so we'll continue on from there. Okay, take number 2 with what came with the kit. This kit was a little different for me because again, it was a starter kit, and I took some pieces out, left some in, and so I wasn't completely prepared when I was showing everything in here, because I just realized I forgot the yeast that's included. I forgot that in my bedroom, where I keep a lot of this stuff, and then it also comes with the no rinse, there we go, the no rinse one-step sanitizer. So just wanted to be completely sure everybody knew it does come with that. Very important parts of the brewing process, and I did not mean to miss that. Okay, so first step is we're taking a gallon of distilled water from my local grocery store, just plain distilled water. Dump in the whole gallon. And just turn the heat up high, because we got to get this up to 155 degrees. Okay, so the boiling, or not boiling, the hot water rather, just got to 160 degrees. Right above 155, which is what we wanted. So I am taking the grain bag here. I'm going to fill that up. And like always, once we get this filled, gonna tie it up and steep these grains just like you would tea. That's what I always like to compare it to. These grains actually smell really good. So, grain is tied. Gonna go ahead and put it in here. And just monitor that temperature. Make sure we stay around 155, 160, 165. I don't think it matters too much, but as long as you're within that range and above 155, not too much higher. I'm just swirling it around a little bit. I don't usually do that, but I can already tell within... Oh, I need to set our timer for 15 minutes. But I can already tell this is definitely going to give it some color today. That Hefeweizen I did last week didn't do too much to the color, but this is already almost looking like a Coors Light. Just to give you an idea of what color. So, it's definitely getting some color. We got just under 15 minutes here, and we'll be back with the next step. Okay, so as I've said before, I usually turn the heat up. Let me see. Yep, we're still good. I will turn the heat up right before the 15 minutes is done. The 15 minutes for the grains, because I know it's not going to ruin the grains. And also I know that our next step is bringing this up to the first bubble of boiling. So I went ahead and got that turned up. Take out the grains. Don't smash them because it releases tannins. And just giving it a quick stir to make sure everything's all mixed in for the grains. I'll actually show what it looks like here real quick. Okay, so this is just after we've done the grains. You can see, as I said, it's got quite a bit of color to it. Kind of orangish, really. So, just bringing it up to that first boiling bubble we see, and then we'll add in the extract. Okay, so we're definitely experiencing some boiling bubbles, so I'm taking it off the heat. Probably hear my corgis in the background. I apologize a little. Not too much because they're awesome. But anyway, go ahead and slowly add in the malt extract. Stir it. I probably should have been stirring it even when adding that little amount here. I always like to say when you add the malt extract, when you're doing an extract kit like this, to me, it's when it really starts to look like beer. It's definitely not beer yet, I do understand that, but it's that frothiness up there, and gives it a little bit of a different color. I'll say as well, I will admit, the first time that I brewed beer during the boil like this, I wouldn't say that I didn't like the smell, but it was not really appealing, I guess, the first time I did it. But I guess because I love the hobby now, I've definitely grown to like the smell as well. I love the smell of brewing beer like this, especially when you add in the hops. I'm sure I kind of associate that smell with the fun that I have brewing beer. So that's kind of like a psychological thing. There we go. Got that little part that got wet. So I'm just stirring this in. I'm about to put it back on the heat. And then we'll bring it up to a boil. Rolling boil. And that's when we'll start the 60-minute timer and get the hops added in there. So, looks like everything's about stirred in. Put it back over to the heat. And I can already hear the heat in there. Definitely not boiling, but water likes that heat, it sounds like. So, I'll pick up the camera in just a second. Show what it looks like here. So again, just bringing this up to a rolling boil. Still stirring it around just a little bit. And then once we get to that boiling, we'll add in the hops. So this is what I was saying with it looking like beer. It looks like the top of a beer mug, all that head. But if you stir it around, you can see a little bit more color. It's really foamy right now, so you can't see it that well, but it's definitely got a bit more color to it. So again, just bring it up to a boil. Okay, so as this is still coming up to a rolling boil, I'll go ahead and show here. Got those Cascade hops. Quite a bit of them actually can't fully show it or it'll tip over. This is probably the most hops that I've seen in a package so far, which, you know, it's an IPA, I understand, but it was just interesting to see that there was quite a bit of them in there. So what I just did, I've got a hop bag. You can kind of see them in there, maybe a little. It's just kind of to keep all of the, what's it called? What's the word I'm looking for? The sediment from them. I don't want to get that in my beer. What I'm really working on is keeping the beer as clear as possible. I don't want a lot of sediment in there. Nobody really does. So it actually just did start boiling. It's almost boiling over actually. So handled it like a champ. Just kidding. But I'm gonna lift that up for just a sec. Drop it down. Add in the hops. About to see a bunch of green. Maybe, maybe not. So I may want to turn this down just a little. Yeah, those Cascade hops, they're definitely giving off a great smell. There's a lot of foam coming up here. Yeah, you can actually see it almost in the video. So, yeah, just a little. It's definitely risen up a lot since we added the hops and added the, since we got it boiling and added the hops. It's got a little more green as well, which is exactly as I'd expect when adding the hops. So since it's at that rolling boil, I'm going to turn this down just a little bit. And I'll pick up the camera again and show what it's looking like in here. Oh, and of course the step I should have done first is I'm going to set the timer to, set the timer to 28 minutes. It should be 30, but I started late. So 28 minutes because we have these Willamette hops that you add 30 minutes in. So that's usually what I do. I don't usually set the timer at 60. I set it at, you know, whatever time I need to add something else in. So that's why that's set there. So again, I'll pick up the camera and show what we're looking at. Okay, so again, just added the hops, and there's the hop bag kind of floating, but it's still getting all the flavor in there. I'm going to turn the heat up a little bit. So it's gotten a little darker maybe, a little greener because of the hops. Just going to keep it going like that for about 27 more minutes. Okay, so we're getting really close to that time when we need to add the second hops. So we've got Willamette hops for late bittering, and you add those 30 seconds into the boil. These are a little bit thicker, in my opinion. So there it goes. And just dumping these in. Okay, set this for 28 minutes because we're going to come back 2 minutes before a total of 60 minutes for the boil and add in the aromatic hops. Okay, so we got about 10 seconds left on the timer, and then we add the last hops, which are Goldings for aroma. And we add these when the wort has 2 minutes left in the boil. So I'm going to go ahead and say 2 minutes and 10 seconds. And then they smell really good. We're going to dump those in. And still at a pretty good rolling boil. We've of course lost volume in the water, as you can always expect when it's boiling. But we got the last hops in, got 2 minutes left. Get this stirred around a little, and then we're gonna get it in some very cold water, cool it down, and I'll explain that once we get there. Okay, so as of now, we are done with the boil. So going to use what I always call my trash plate here to let the hop bag get some of that liquid out there. I'm sure that's a lot of flavor, so I don't want to let all that go to waste. Okay, so we're done with that. Turn the heat off. Meant to do that immediately. But anyway, we've got our sink over here with the really hot wort and right into that cold water. Go ahead and fill it all the way up. And then we've got a lid, because as soon as you bring it out of that boil that it's been in for almost over 60 minutes now, this is when you really have to start worrying about the sanitation, keeping out any bacteria. That's why we put a lid on, to keep any sort of oxygen out, any bacteria that may be in the air. I always start out with just a water bath like this. This is only water in here to kind of get the initial large amount of heat out of the pot that we've got here. And then we'll come back, empty the water, and then fill it back up a little and add a ton of ice, and that's when it's really going to cool down, and it cools down fast at that point. Alright, so this is the ice bath in action. Water's still coming in, it's almost full. I'm about to turn that off. But like I said, ice packs and ice completely surrounding it, so it's going to be done really quick. Okay, so while this is chilling out over here, we've got the one-step sanitizer, and we have our main pieces that we're going to be using. The hose for the blow-off assembly will make the thermometer, which we're about to use to check the temperature of the wort. That has to be sanitized. The little bung for the carboy, which I've got right here, the gallon carboy, which will sanitize that in a moment. And then this is actually a nice little funnel here. I almost wish I had the other one in this room to show you, but this is maybe 3-4 times the size of the one that comes with the Crafted Brew kit. That one does just fine, but this one, it's got, if you can see, a little ring around here, and then here's a filter that goes on that. I am so excited to use this because straining the wort has been a pain in the past. So this makes it really easy. So that's what we're going to sanitize. Also the yeast, that's got to be sanitized. And then we've got our scissors over here. So everything I just showed, we're going to sanitize, because anything that touches this wort from here on out needs to be sanitized, because we do not want to deal with any sort of bacteria in there that totally messes up the taste. And that would actually probably ruin the batch, to be honest. So what we do here, just gotta get some warm water starting. And actually, one thing with the ice bath over here, having the ice packs makes it really nice, at least in my sink, because it holds the pot up. So I don't have to hold on to it or anything, it just sits in there. So anyway, I'm going to take these big pieces out. But we're going to take the sanitizer that comes with the Crafted Brew kit. My water's definitely hot over here. Come on. Okay, so here's everything I'm sanitizing. I just sprinkle in the sanitizer, probably using more than I need, but my thought is always best safe than sorry. So basically, I'm not going to show this whole thing because I can tell the video is already going to be long, but get this this powdery crystal-like sanitizer added in here. Give it enough to cover as much as you can, stir it in, and kind of move things around a little to try to get them sanitized, and then we'll move on to the next step. Okay, so last step to sanitization here is we've got the carboy filled with that sanitization mix, and we just mix it in just like this. Make sure that sanitizer touches all surfaces really well. Quite a bit of contact. Hey! I don't know why Courtney's bark so much. Doesn't help when you're trying to make a video. Okay, so just straining. Hey! Every time I yell at her, she just starts again. Okay, so that's sanitized. Okay, so perfect. You can see the carboy down there a little. And we are right at about 70 degrees on the wort, which is perfect. Again, we've got our funnel in here, which I'm really, or funnel. We have a funnel, but we have a filter in there, so I'm really excited to use that. So, taking the wort and dumping it in. See, this filter is much better than anything I've used before because it's going in really fast, but I can see some sediment up here that it's not letting go in, which is exactly what it's supposed to do. Of course, after a second like that, it's gonna clog it up a bit. So let me see. Okay, sorry about that. So here's that filter. Strained out a lot of that, so whew, that was awesome. I just dipped it once really quickly in that sanitizer, and it's back to clear. So we've already got most of the wort in here, but I'll mix that around a bit, and then go ahead and start pouring the rest in. Okay, so back at it, just clean the filter. There's a lot of hops in this. I need to invest in a second hop strainer or something. And we're going to now, you'll see in the fermenter that it's not full. So I'm going to make sure first, kind of prime the sink up here and make sure that it's, that the water's cold, not warm. And I'll go ahead and take my sprayer so that nothing touches the jug here, and add water up till when it gets to a gallon. Okay. Okay, so I just cleaned my hands, and we've got the sanitized yeast packet and the sanitized scissors. So I'm going to cut that open. Maybe not enough. Okay. It's a little harder to deal with too because it was wet, but okay. So the sanitized yeast is going in. Make sure you get all of it because if you don't know, yeast is very important. And the reason we sanitize that, as I just showed, is this ended up touching that. I guess you could avoid touching it, but hey, if it's sanitized, you don't have to worry. Okay, next up, we've got the yeast and the wort in there. It's looking kind of greenish. That'll change color, of course. But now we need to aerate the wort just like this. I always like to say this is where you get your workout, but you just need to aerate the wort for about 60 seconds, maybe a little more. Okay. Oops. Okay. So that's pretty good. So, actually give me one moment. Okay, so here's my little brew station that I always show. Up here we've got the, it is a chocolate milk stout up here. This is the Hefeweizen that I started on Thursday, just a few days ago. And here's the IPA that we just did. It's not the best lighting in here, which is kind of upsetting, but you can see we just aerated it, and we'll be seeing some fermentation soon. So what I did off screen is I added the bung, and then this hose goes over to here. And in that cup is sanitized water using the sanitizer that Craft Brew provides. So that'll start bubbling probably tomorrow morning. May even be sooner, I don't know. And then this will start to ferment very soon. So that will be in video 2. Okay, so as I just mentioned, video 2, this is video 1 of 2. I always want to have one video showing the brewing process and getting it into the exact place it is now. And then video 2 will be kind of an update on the fermentation, kind of a time lapse of that, and then we'll be tasting the beer in video 2 as well. So stay tuned when that video does come out in about a month from now. Actually, this beer takes, I think, 6 weeks, which will be, there will be more details on that in the second video. But in about 6 weeks or so, we'll have that second video, and I'll have a link to that on the screen here. So we'll see you then. Thank you, and subscribe if you'd like.